The morning of August 8, 1941, was hot and thick with the smell of dust and fear. Somewhere near the Ukrainian village of Belyayevka, a 25-year-old history student named Lyudmila Pavlichenko lay flat on her stomach, her heart pounding against the dry earth. In her hands, she clutched a Mosin-Nagant bolt-action rifle that was not hers. Just days earlier, she had been digging trenches with a single RGD-33 grenade, watching the German and Romanian troops advance while she was helpless. Now, a wounded comrade had passed her his weapon and his place on the line. Through her scope, she saw them, two enemy soldiers, moving cautiously, unaware they were being watched. She breathed in. She breathed out. She squeezed the trigger. The first shot cracked across the field, and a man fell. The second shot, seconds later, dropped his companion. Pavlichenko later called this moment her baptism of fire. It was the beginning of a killing career that would make her the most feared woman on the Eastern Front, a woman the Germans would call the Russian bitch from hell, and her own people would call Lady Death. By the time shrapnel forced her from the battlefield less than a year later, she had officially confirmed 309 kills, including 36 of the enemy's best snipers. This is the story of how a quiet graduate student became the deadliest sniper in history, how she traded the classroom for the killing field, and how she used her voice after her rifle fell silent to shame the world into action. Lyudmila Mikhailovna Belova was born on July 12, 1916, in the Ukrainian town of Bila Tserkva, then part of the Russian Empire. Her father was a locksmith from Petrograd, a Communist Party member and a decorated Red Army veteran. Her mother was a teacher. When Lyudmila was 14, the family moved to Kiev. By her own admission, she was a tomboy, fiercely competitive, drawn to athletics, and utterly uninterested in the delicate pursuits expected of young women. She worked as a grinder at the Kiev Arsenal factory during the day and attended school at night. In her spare time, she joined a local shooting club. The motivation was simple. A neighborhood boy boasted about his marksmanship, and Lyudmila decided to prove a girl could shoot just as well. She trained intensely, earning the Voroshilov sharpshooter badge. It was just a hobby. She never imagined it would become her destiny. At 16, she married Alexei Pavlichenko and took his surname. The marriage ended quickly, but the name stayed. She had a son, Rostislav, and returned to live with her parents. In 1937, she enrolled at Kiev University to study history, dreaming of becoming a teacher. She competed in track, sprinting, and pole vaulting. She took a 6-month sniper training course, but it felt abstract, a sport, nothing more. Her future was books and lecture halls, not battlefields. Then came June 22, 1941. Operation Barbarossa began. The Wehrmacht smashed across the Soviet border, and her world began to burn. At 24, in her 4th year of university, she walked into the Odessa recruiting office and volunteered for the infantry. The registrar tried to steer her toward noosing. That was where women belonged. Lyudmila refused. She pulled out her marksmanship certificates. "I am a sharpshooter. Put me in the line," she said. He described the front's brutality, trying to frighten her. She didn't flinch. He relented. She was assigned to the 25th Rifle Division. But at the front, there were no rifles for her. Shortages were severe. She was given a grenade and told to dig trenches. For weeks, she endured frustration, a tool user reduced to laborer, watching the enemy through binoculars with nothing but a grenade. Then came that August morning near Belyayevka. The wounded comrade, the shared rifle, the 2 shots, the 2 dead soldiers. Her skeptical commanders became believers. They gave her a Mosin-Nagant 1891/30 with a 4x-PE telescopic sight, her own rifle at last. It fired a 7.62 by 54 mmR cartridge at 853 meters per second, effective beyond 550 meters. 5 rounds. Heavy, unforgiving, brutally accurate. With it, Lyudmila Pavlichenko began her education in death. She fought for 2.5 months during the siege of Odessa. The front was fluid, chaotic,
incredibly dangerous. Snipers operated alone or in pairs, crawling into no man's land, lying motionless for days, waiting for a single target. She learned to read the landscape, anticipate movement, distinguish the subtle signs that betrayed a soldier's presence. Patience beyond anything sport shooting required. Heat oppressive, flies relentless. The dead lay where they fell, bloating in the sun.
She killed 187 soldiers in those first months. By August 1941, she was promoted to senior sergeant.
In October, Odessa fell. Her unit was evacuated by sea to Sevastopol, where the siege would last 8 more months, the crucible of her legend. The Germans brought their best snipers, skilled hunters sent to counter the Soviet sharpshooters. The war became personal. She hunted them, they hunted her. She developed legendary tactics, waiting days in shallow scrapes for a single mistake, a glint of sun on a scope, a shift of a branch, the briefest exposure. She killed 36 enemy snipers in these deadly duels. She trained others, passing on hard-won knowledge. Her kill count climbed, 257 by May 1942, finally 309 by June, all confirmed, all witnessed. The war exacted a brutal personal toll. In late 1941, she met and married fellow sniper Alexei Kitsenko. She called him Leonia. They fought together, shared a trench, found fragile happiness in the inferno. A brief respite. In February 1942, a mortar shell mortally wounded him. He died in her arms days later. The grief transformed her. Before, she fought for country and party. Now she fought for revenge. The Germans knew her name. They tried bribery, chocolate, and a high commission if she defected. She refused. Enraged, they threatened over loudspeakers to tear her into 309 pieces. She laughed, but the attention made her a target. In June 1942, shrapnel from a mortar peppered her face. Stalin himself ordered her evacuation by submarine. She left the front behind, the only world that had come to make sense to her. The high command saw her differently now. She was no longer just a soldier, she was a symbol. In 1942, she was sent to the United States and Canada. Mission: convince the Allies to open a second front in Europe. She became the first Soviet citizen received at the White House. Eleanor Roosevelt became a close friend and toured with her. The American press didn't know what to make of her. They called her the girl sniper, treating her as a curiosity. The questions were astonishingly irrelevant. Did she wear makeup at the front? Face powder? Blush? Lipstick? One reporter asked about the length of her uniform skirt. Another asked if she wore silk underwear beneath it. She was stunned. A combat veteran with 309 kills, representing her country, and they wanted to talk about fashion. At a Chicago press conference, her patience snapped. She faced the room full of men and spoke. "Gentlemen, I am 25 years old, and I have killed 309 fascist invaders. Don't you think you've been hiding behind my back too long?" The room fell silent. Then applause began. Her words electrified the nation. She shamed them into confronting their hesitation. Woody Guthrie was so moved, he wrote, "Miss Pavlichenko, the world will love you for all time to come. 300 Nazis fell by your gun." After the war, she completed her history degree at Kiev University. She worked as a research assistant for the Navy. But the war never left her. She suffered from what we now call PTSD, depression, alcoholism, haunting memories, Lonia's face, the faces in her scope, the friends she lost. They stayed with her always. On October 10th, 1974, she died of a stroke at 58. She was buried in Moscow's Novodevichy Cemetery. Her legacy endures. She proved a woman could be not just a soldier, but one of history's most lethal snipers. She faced Nazis with a rifle. She faced American sexism with sharp words. In 1976, the USSR issued a stamp in her honor. Today, her name stands beside the greatest marksman. Lyudmila Pavlichenko was not a myth. She was real, a woman who loved, lost, and killed, and in doing so, became legend.